A grand jury has indicted one police officer from Louisville, Kentucky, in connection to the death of Breonna Taylor. Sergeant Brett Hankison is the only one who will face any charges. In fact, 3 counts of first-degree wanton endangerment. But it's not because of Breonna Taylor dying, it's because he just fired his weapon indiscriminately and could have killed others. As you guys can recall, after cops opened fire, some of those bullets actually went into the apartment next door. And so those are the charges that one of the cops is facing. So wanton endangerment is an act or an instance of putting someone or something in danger or exposure to peril or harm. Louisville police previously fired Hankison, who was found to have fired 10 shots blindly into Taylor's apartment. The police department said Hankison had displayed an extreme indifference to the value of human life. The charges that were filed accuse him of firing blindly into several apartments and recklessly endangering Taylor's neighbors, but do not charge him with firing at or killing Taylor. Taylor's family had called for nothing less than manslaughter charges, and clearly those charges never came to fruition. Bond for Hankison was set at $15,000 full cash. And as you guys can probably imagine, there's a lot of rage throughout the country over this additional case of injustice. We're talking about an innocent person who was killed in her own apartment by cops who had obtained a no-knock warrant by lying to the judge about the post office, saying that there were suspicious packages going to Breonna Taylor's home. Of course, the post office inspector later said that no one from the post office had told the police department that at all. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that they lied about that. It doesn't matter that they lied about not wearing body cams. Later, through some investigative reporting, we found out that they were wearing cameras, they just didn't turn it on. There was some evidence of tampering with the scene based on photos that were taken shortly after the shooting, and then what the scene looked like later. So, I mean, there are all sorts of issues here, and we're supposed to just believe what the cops in this case said, which is, hey, we announced ourselves as cops. And that's when Breonna Taylor's husband decided to open fire, which is why we returned fire. But it would be weird, right, to obtain a no-knock warrant and then proceed to knock and announce yourself as you're undergoing a raid. I don't believe them. I don't think that there's justice in this case. I can understand the anger because I feel it myself. John, why don't you jump in?
Yeah, so this was announced while we were filming the damage report this morning, and we just got like sort of a 1-sentence summary of it. And I stupidly thought that this is sort of a light sentence for one cop having to do with her death. And I thought, I'm actually kind of shocked by this. I mean, obviously this doesn't go nearly far enough, but at least it's something. And then with every detail that's come out since then, it's become more and more of a farce, almost. Like, I guess it's not, but it feels almost like having the charge at all is more of an insult than not having anything, because it sort of implies, oh no, we considered the possibility that killing this woman would be a bad thing, that it's in some way wrong or should have consequences. We're not interested in that. We're gonna deal with the possibility that someone else could have been hurt. Although I have to wonder, if they had hit another person, would the cops not have gotten away with that in some way? We have to have access to the actual evidence that was presented, more information about the procedure that led to this being the one charge, because it really does seem like it was manipulated and biased in a number of different ways to make sure that there was effectively nothing that came out of it.
Yeah, it's beyond insulting, because essentially what these charges indicate is, an innocent black woman is dead, but that is not what we're going to hold anyone accountable for. It's just the recklessness of opening fire in a way that could have harmed others. It's just, so let's hear from the Attorney General, the top prosecutor who brought the evidence before the grand jury. Let's hear what he has to say. His name is Daniel Cameron.
My job is to present the facts to the grand jury, and the grand jury then applies those facts to the law. If we simply act on emotion or outrage, there is no justice. Mob justice is not justice. Justice sought by violence is not justice. It just becomes revenge. And in our system, criminal justice isn't the quest for revenge. It's the quest for truth, evidence, and facts, and the use of that truth as we fairly apply our laws.
So I really don't understand how any of this is justice, how anyone can look at what the outcome of this case is and say, no, we did it right. This is how justice is carried out. Again, we're talking about a woman who was killed in her own apartment. There was absolutely no evidence that she was engaged in any type of illicit behavior, any type of illegal behavior. There were no drugs found in the home, no money found in the home. This no-knock warrant was carried out past midnight. You have plainclothes cops using a battering ram to enter someone's apartment in the middle of the night. We're in a country that's supposed to value the Second Amendment so people can protect themselves in case there are intruders in their homes. And so Kenneth Walker, Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, sees these people, plainclothes individuals, come into his home. He fires a warning shot, and that's all he needed to do, right? Just fire that warning shot, didn't kill anyone, injured one of the cops. And then they can just go ahead and rain terror, shoot as many bullets as they want into that apartment. And just as long as they don't do it in a way that might harm other people in other units in that apartment building, right? That's the only thing that anyone might be held accountable for. And remember, this doesn't mean that he's been convicted. This just means that there will be charges filed against one cop. He still needs to stand trial. So there could even conceivably be a situation in which he's not even found guilty or convicted of this.
Exactly, and I can't help but I know we're gonna talk about one of these two stories later on, so I won't go too in detail into that, but Fox is trying to use the past charges of murder victims as a justification for them being killed. But police officers with a long documented record of incredibly irresponsible, violent criminal acts, we're not allowed to have that influence our decisions about, or our evaluations about their decision to use force. When it's the nth time they've brutalized someone, it doesn't matter what they've done in the past. But if you're the victim of violence, then anything you've done wrong can and will be used against you. I understand it's not involved in the judicial proceedings here, but this is our country. It seems increasingly to be an accurate reflection of what we think is just. Man, it's been 6 months, and this is it. 6 months.
Yeah, I know. When the news first broke, I have to be honest. I mean, like I've become, I expect to be let down, right? So, I saw the rage and everything on Twitter, and I'm not trying to say I don't feel rage. It's just that the rage is so, it's a mainstay in our lives at this point that when it happens, you don't really feel anything, right? You become kind of numb to it. So I want to read from our members. We read your comments during the show. We want to hear what you have to say, and you guys can become a member if you're not already by going to tyt.com/join. Max's mama says, in light of this travesty of justice, where none of the police officers liable for Breonna Taylor's death are being charged, no-knock warrants need to be banned. This tragedy would not have happened if the police had not entered the residence on a no-knock warrant. I mean, I agree with you on that. There's no question about it, and thank you for writing in. But I mean, it doesn't go far enough. The cop who gunned down 12-year-old Tamir Rice didn't need a no-knock warrant to do it. I mean, this is a virus that has infected every single police department throughout the country, and simply, doing some reform on the edges, albeit it's an important reform, but it just doesn't go far enough, right? I just think that what we're seeing right now is case after case of armed militia members, right wingers gunning down protesters, and the country rallies in their defense. Oh, they're defending themselves from these unhinged lunatic protesters who have the audacity to demand justice and actual reform in police departments. But when it comes to someone like Breonna Taylor, what did she do wrong? What did she do to deserve it? And how would anyone feel if they saw a family member lose their life like that, get gunned down like that, and there are no criminal charges for that aspect of what happened that night? No one's being charged criminally for gunning her down. It's crazy. All right, and I do also want to read from the attorney Benjamin Crump, who on Twitter said the grand jury's decision in the killing of Breonna Taylor is outrageous and offensive to her memory. It's yet another example of no accountability for the genocide of persons of color by white police officers. With all we know about Breonna Taylor's killing, how could a fair and just system result in today's decision? Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.